Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, crossover with the Channel 3 Sports Department today. Nick Camino, Chris Renkel joining us here on the second hour. A little breaking news in the NBA, guys. The NBA governors have voted to officially expand the league to 32 teams, adding Seattle and Las Vegas into the fold. We'll find out what the proprietary part of that is and how much money Dan Gilbert and other owners are getting by doing this. But the league is expanding from 30 to 32 teams, which will obviously disperse the talent across the board. Talent, and the Cavaliers' talent is what we are talking about right now, guys. Is this team talented enough to win a championship? Not will they beat OKC in the finals, but purely talent-wise, is this Cavaliers roster talented enough to win it all this year? Dustin, what say you, my friend?
Talented, yeah. I think they're as talented as some of these other teams. Are they as good a team as OKC and some of these other squads? To be determined. You know, we have not seen this reiteration of the Cavs yet in the postseason with James Harden, obviously, and Ellis, and who's the other dude we got? Schroeder, yeah, thank you. So those guys, those three players are new. And we also have had the last, 9 games plus of no Jared Allen. So I don't know that we know what this team will look like in the postseason, but I know this much, guys. I'm really excited about it, and I thought we had no chance prior to the trade, and now I think we have a chance.
No. Chris?
Talented, yes. They have every piece. Like, I was looking at the roster top to bottom, and I'm like, what are they missing? I don't think they're missing anything really that big. But talented teams don't always win a championship, and that's where you got to be hot, you got to get lucky a little bit, you got to be healthy. They haven't been healthy. What I like about them right now, the fact that they haven't been healthy and they've still figured out ways to win without a Jared Allen, to win without a Donovan Mitchell, to win without these guys is something that last year's team just didn't have. Everything went their way until it didn't in the postseason. So, yes, talented enough to win it all, absolutely. To Dustin's point, will they? Remains to be seen. I want to see a little more out of them in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, to Dustin's point, I give them a lot of credit, Kobe Altman especially, for recognizing, okay, this isn't working. Okay, what we have here is as talented as Darius Garland is, and he's doing a great job, with the Clippers all of a sudden. We kind of all were like, oh, okay, something needed to change. So I give them a lot of credit for understanding that you can't just keep forcing the two bigs, which they're still going with, but with Garland, it's not working with Mitchell. Like, it just wasn't working. So you have to give them credit for that. Bringing in Harden does help their chances. Now, to your question, are they talented enough? As all three of us agree, and I think you agree, Mike, of course they have enough talent. You think about the two guards that they have with Mitchell and Harden. They're unbelievable. And if the two bigs are healthy and they're working, it's an interesting makeup. My concern with this team, though, is, and this goes back to, and maybe I'm haunted by LeBron doing unbelievable things here, is that they've just lacked that big wing. They've lacked that big wing. And when you think about big wings, right, you think about Tatum with the Boston Celtics. You think about when he was healthy and everything was going well and they won a championship, Antetokounmpo with the Milwaukee Bucks. These teams that have those big wings, it concerns me that even while James Harden is a pretty big guard, they're kind of in the front court, or excuse me, in the back court, they're a little bit small. And I worry come playoff time, that's haunted them before. We saw it with Halliburton and the Pacers last year. Like, they got exposed. Do they have enough to combat that? I don't know.
I don't think they got exposed in the Pacers matchup because lack of size on the wing. They got exposed because they had no one that could bring the ball over half court in game 2 without Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter in the lineup. I mean, they had 7 possessions in the last 53 seconds, or 4 possessions in the last 53
seconds. But, Mike,
the
defense was terrible.
They couldn't get over.
And this goes back, the defense was terrible.
And the defense was terrible last night, too.
Last night, and that's what Kenny Atkinson told you guys after the game in the press conference room. Even after a win, after their 4th straight win, he's got serious concerns about the defensive end of the floor because he knows they're not going to score 136 points in the playoffs. You're going to see games in the playoffs, and Dustin, you watch a lot of NBA. We see games that are 200 to 500 in the regular season. Well, in the playoffs, you're going to see a 98 to 95 game. Right. It's just how it goes.
It all slows down, and that's where the James Harden acquisition, I think, changes their entire championship complexion. And talented enough, yes. Like obviously they're talented enough. They have 4 top 45 players in the league right now. One of 2 or 3 teams that you can make that case for. Talent-wise, yes. Do they all fit together, and will they all play well enough in the playoffs to go on a deep playoff run? That has remained to be seen because these guys haven't proven in this stage of the season that they're capable of doing it night in, night out. The one difference, though, with the Cavs right now versus last year, 2 years ago, even 3 years ago in the first year of the Donovan Mitchell era, is you have a guy in James Harden who can single-handedly change the pace of the game and control the pace of the game. And you're adding into him a Donovan Mitchell who, in the playoffs, that's never been a concern, And look at how well Evan Mobley and Jared Allen have played since this acquisition. The last 12 games, we talked about it earlier in the show, this is the best 12-game stretch of Evan Mobley's career. He's averaging 21 points, almost 11 rebounds, shooting 63% from the floor. Jared Allen with James Harden is also averaging 20 points and 10-plus rebounds. You can see Mobley's numbers on the screen. Those two playing at the level they're currently playing at changes the entire championship complexion of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They need the guards to supplement and get them the ball consistently, and how Kenny and company figure out how to get this version of Jared and the 12-game version of Evan we've seen while they're both on the court together. That's why they get paid millions of dollars and we get paid to talk about it in this chair. That's the main question they have to answer. But if those two can play at the level they have been, this team is as talented as any team in the league. And I do think they can compete with the OKCs, the San Antonios, the Bostons to win a championship if those guards and those bigs play at this level.
What I like about what Harden brings to the team, you talk about changes their championship complexion. Last year, their offense was so much predicated on getting down the floor quickly, beating teams in transition, which works in the regular season. In the postseason, when it slows down and when they went to the half-court offense, it just didn't have the same effect. Darius Garland, great in the open floor, maybe not so much when you have to combine and put him in that half-court. Harden thrives in that half-court, and he's so good at distributing and having that threat of you can guard him, he's still going to be able to make any shot he wants. So that's what gives me hope going into the postseason of they're going to play right into the Cavs game. Yes, defensively they need to get better, but they're going to be able to have a much better offense when it goes to the half-court game.
And to that point, prior to the Harden trade, the Cavs had the 22nd ranked clutch offense in the NBA. Nick, do you know what it is now post-Harden trade?
13th.
5th.
Wow.
Wow.
22nd to 5th in clutch offense since the James Harden deal. And part of it is
he helps the bigs, too. I mean, as you guys talked about.
Yeah, huge bigs. But they now have two guys at the end of the game where if you're going to blitz and try to get the ball into Donovan's hands, instead of dumping it off to Dean Wade and having Dean Wade play at advantage, we saw it against New Orleans on Saturday. They blitzed Harden, he dumped it to Mitchell, and now you have Donovan Mitchell playing with a 4-on-3 advantage.
Listen, I would love to be able to say at the end of the season, if the Cavaliers win the title, like, man, James Harden was the answer. Can you believe it?
I know.
I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around that because James Harden has never had postseason success. We've seen him disappear in the postseason. However, there is a guy that we're watching who's an aging veteran who still has a little something left in the tank, and he doesn't have something to his legacy, and that's a title, that's a playoff run where he's done something, where he's been a part of a team where he's had some success. So I'm just banking on the fact that this guy's a competitor and he wants to win, and we can potentially use his strength, which is that half-court offense, and where he can deliver the ball as well as anybody in the NBA.
And it's the pace. And to your point, he makes Mobley and Allen so much better. Yeah. And he's unlocked the best version of those two. You weren't in the first segment, Nick, when we talked about it, but what have you liked most about how they've incorporated Harden into this offense?
Well, I just think he brings instant credibility. I mean, he's won at this level. He's done it individually at a high level, and as Dustin said, the only thing he's lacking is that championship. So I think there is that buy-in from him that, you know, he finally wants to get this done. But yeah, he's helped the bigs. It's a veteran presence out there. In the playoffs, you're going to need two of these guys because you guys know this, on the road, the role players, things change. You know, they play different at home than they do on the road. And so, you know, a guy like Sam Merrill, you know, hopefully he can give you something off the bench, or, you know, when you go to the road, hopefully these guys are effective. But what we have found is in the playoffs, you need your stars to be stars. You need these guys to shine, and hopefully you have two of them now. The one thing I will say, and we've talked about this, I'm veering off just a little bit here, but you guys can handle the bounce pass.
Whoa.
I do hope that they can stay right in this 4 spot, okay? Yeah, I really hope that they can strategically stay there, because it sets you up with a second-round matchup with the Detroit Pistons. And that doesn't mean I'm scared of New York or I'm scared of Boston. Well, maybe the Celtics a little bit. But you do not want a situation where you have to go play New York and then play Boston. Right. Only play one of those in this series. You don't. I would take Detroit. You've got the situation with Cunningham right now. They're a little bit banged up. So I think I'd take my chances with J.B. Bickerstaff's team than the Celtics and the Knicks.
It's one of those weird years where the 1 seed is less scary than a 2 or 3. You obviously want to get as high in the playoff seedings as you can, but they just match up better against Detroit. They've had more success against Detroit than they've had against Boston in the past. And if you can avoid having to play 2 of those 3 teams en route to making the NBA Finals, it certainly helps. Back to expansion real quick, though, where we started. You guys are obviously new to the program. Are you in favor of the league? Do you think they needed to add two more teams, or do they already have enough
That's
talent
complex.
disparity
For
across
me,
the
that's
board?
tough because I would say no, you don't need that many more teams. But Seattle's such a good market.
Yeah.
I mean, they love their sports. Seattle, they loved the Supersonics. I mean, when they took them. So I'm happy for Seattle. But did the league need more teams? I don't know.
I'm with Nick. Almost called you Dustin. You're Nick. You're Dustin. I'm with you guys. Seattle deserved to have a team back. I'm very happy. I assume they're going to be called the Supersonics. I think it'd be a huge
have
miss.
to
They
Oh, my
better
God.
be. They better
If they
be.
don't,
Yes.
yeah.
Color's
huge miss.
name has to go back.
It has to go exactly back the way it was. You don't have KD, but that's all right. You'll get somebody else. Seattle getting a team back, good for them. Very happy for the fans out there. Vegas, think of how quickly we went from we can't have any pro teams in Vegas because the gambling's
0 to
gonna,
100.
Yep.
and now they're going to have the four major sports.
If all four, yeah. All four.
Plus
Not
the
even that big of a
WNBA team.
city.
No.
Las Vegas is. I mean, it's not that big.
And they support the Knights. The expansion Knights have been incredible in Vegas. The turnouts, it's one of the best home crowd advantages in the entire NHL. I'm not sure if the Raiders have had that same translation. It feels like they're kind of hit or miss. We'll find out about baseball. We'll find out about basketball. My bigger issue on the expansion is right now, as of today, we got about 10 games left in the season. There are 9 teams actively trying to lose. You have almost a third of your league right now actively saying, we do not want to win basketball games because we are in a better position moving forward to get better draft odds, et cetera, et cetera.
We got to change the way that
Do we need two more?
The draft is done.
You have to.
The lottery is not working. The way that these teams tank and have I don't have the answer. I have some answers, but not the answer. In that commissioner who makes $1 zillion needs to come up with something because he's done 1,000 things to try to make the league better, and some have worked, some have not.
I'm with you.
Some have not. But the lotteries,
You
No bueno.
gotta be careful too because you've got so many teams that make the playoffs. The regular season, at times it doesn't feel all that
Right.
important. That's what they're dealing
too long.
with. That's what they're dealing with right now, and that's a reality. And that's something that Adam Silver, as Dustin mentioned, he's making a lot of money to make these decisions.
Right.
And I think this country has an appetite for basketball. We saw the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament set records, but the NBA regular season hasn't seen that. So they have to figure that out.
One of the reasons they've been hesitant to cut games is obviously losing revenue.
Sure.
But I wonder if this massive influx of money from these two new expansion teams could help even it out a little bit from an ownership standpoint. Would you be okay losing 6 home games a year if you're getting $500 million from each of these guys? Because the evaluations for these teams after the Celtics,
Well,
and
it always
Lakers
comes
deal,
down to the money.
It's
Dustin
always
was in a union.
show me the money.
Right? I mean, it always comes down to that. The players say, "Oh, I want to play less games." Okay, well, this is going to cost you this much money. Well, no, I don't want to give that up.
Right.
That's how it works.
That's how it always works. Speaking of basketball, the Cleveland Charge, the G League affiliate of the Cleveland Cavaliers, back at home for their regular season finale this Saturday at 7 o'clock against the Long Island Nets. The Charge currently the 3 seed in the G League, which means they're going to get a home playoff game. Either way, they can move up into the 2 seed or even the 1 seed with wins in their final 2 games. Check them out this Saturday, 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at clevelandcharge.com.